Yeah, this is Point Black, coming in hard and off the car, coming with the flow straight from the barrel, coming with the heat from the motherfucker street, and coming with the facts, the crackbacks, and we coming with that boom big to the line as lives. This is PBNN, Point Black National News, the late and the great edition, and the ghetto edition as well, because this is what we must do. At all times, we always have our gear packed and ready to roll in case we got to mount up and ride. So we always keep our gear ready to go. You know what I mean? Because in these days in time, this is PBNN, Point Black National News, the late and the great edition, and the ghetto edition as well. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what we must do. Like I was saying, at times we see where many people have all this conspiracy saying Donald Trump is convicted of these crimes and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? As if Creep Joe Biden and them are not guilty of even more detrimental crimes that face in the face of the people that show complete and utterly over time, age and time, you know what I'm saying, that they have committed genocide on all populations of people across this planet. You know what I'm saying? They have caused more killing, more murdering, more war, and more of the same bullshit that we have been seeing going all the way back to Richard Nixon and even before that stupid ass clown. You know what I mean? And at the same time, we see where many people follow behind this type of behavior as well, to the point where they would believe and say these things that knowing full well that what has been done based on the very fact of government and how the government has now played the people for food, where you have this thing going on and then you want to sit there and try to say that he's guilty of these crimes. But when you look at what you're holding him in the court with this bullshit, talking about 34 charges, you're talking about a gag order, you're talking about him violating the gag order and all these different factors against him. The whole understanding is this: you never prove to me in any shape or form and in any court of law of a crime that you saying that Donald Trump has committed that they have not done 10 times over. They act as if like the SNL scandal wasn't orchestrated, the real estate scandal that went on not too long ago, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't orchestrated. Bernie Madoff, all those people and different things that you claim you prosecuted and so forth and so on were no more to me than a scapegoat to the higher crimes of the Zionists and many other groups that have committed total genocide and murder, bloody murder of thousands and millions of people on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, have set up there and corrupted our election process for decades. So while you're busy claiming about Trump this and Trump that and insurrections and all that bullshitical plans that y'all planned up in order to even bring about something called an insurrection, we must look at the insurrection that took place with each president. We need to go back and do a full investigation of each president and his conduct in the conspiracies in which they were caught in under democratic rule. Whether they switched party lines, switch sides, change party, bipartisan, or whatever the game is, it is the same bullshit. So while you holding this man with all these charges for 4 years, to me, You barely have any of these corrupted motherfuckers on a demon Democrat or Republican, or demon Democrat switch to Republican side and then do the same corruptive, bloody murder killing shit that they were doing, that they came from the other side, but they never came over to this side in order to say that they just not dealing with this side anymore. They came over with plans from this side to sabotage this side. And this is how you have the mix-up that's going on between Democrats and Republicans, to where one time you would have a whole bunch of demon Democratic president passing the baton in genocidal behavior, corruption, saying, scandalizing and psychologically whipping the people's mind, using biological medicine on people, and all types of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? This is where you will see all that mix-up in that vibe. But that doesn't mean that they did not take a plan of this side in order to take over this side and keep the corruption going. So whenever they want to take the blame off of this side, they'll simply let this side win and use this side as the scapegoat that it did it under this name at this time. So we see that in many of their strategic plans that they have as well. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to the food, you know what I'm saying? Many of the people, get up every day and they act as if like, they go out, they break out the farm work, they feed the pigs, they feed the horses, they put them out, this, that, all this and that, keeping the farm going, and then go over to the crops and get the crops going and all this and that and the third. Many people know that food is a very essential of everyday life. And matter of fact, it's so essential that it's residual in everyday life, because everybody knows that you have to eat at least 3 times a day in order to keep up your nourishment and so forth and so on, based on the health status that as humans grow. But at the same time, when you see that most people go to get the food, they don't always go to a farm, and they don't always go nowhere else but to the grocery store. It doesn't matter what grocery store you have in your town, but that's where you go get your food. So when you go get this food at the grocery store, as far as your agriculture and everything else, you know what I'm saying, it stops there. You see what I'm saying? Unless like other people, not everybody, but a great rest probably do the same thing. They go to local farms and they buy the local food and so on and so on. But one thing we have to understand is that most people understand it stops at that grocery store. There is no way that the farmers or any farmer on this planet that we call Earth and right here in the USA should be struggling, get old, and nobody takes over. Nobody's there to make sure that the farm keeps going, even if they choose somebody and somebody takes on the task. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because when it comes to food and it stops at the grocery store, if anything was to happen, that would be your only source of food for many. Many do not have what we call natural skills to understand the different foods and stuff like that. The only thing they have is maybe they'll go fishing and so on, and probably start growing food of their own and so on and so on. But we should not wait till then in order to be put into a situation like and be pushed to have to do that. We should be supporting our local farmers and agricultural, I'm saying, in agricultural process and agricultural growth of all things that are supplyable to food to people, and it must be maintained. You know what I'm saying? The farmer shouldn't have to sell the land to some underdeveloped idiot who wants to just build, you know what I'm saying, um, apartment complexes and charge you about $4 or $5,000 just for a 1 bedroom. But at the same time, you must start to support your local farmers that they keep the natural grown food, the natural grown cows, the natural grown pigs, the natural grown sheep, the natural grown chicken, the natural grown, and all that stuff. Because you got to think of how many people. Let's use an estimation of 52,000. Let's say 52 million people. You know what I'm saying? In that 52 million people, the whole 52 million of them, every single one of them have to eat at least 3 times a day. Some eat even more than others. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that's the process that they would have to keep that food coming in. Most of the time that happens, that food runs out in the house. Where do you go? You run to the grocery store, and in maybe other countries and other places, and then maybe certain parts of the United States, they go to the uh, 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 farm stand. But at the same time, this is what I'm saying, because then let's do the flip side of the whole other matter now. Now we're looking at people like Bill Gates talking about making food in a laboratory. In a laboratory. You know what I'm saying? And why would you let a man of his caliber, and you just saw what he did under the Zionist, wicked, beastly, fucking, I control the world type bullshit, fucking chromatic people, necrochromatic motherfucker we have on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Where he's talking about buying up all the potato fields. How many people grow potatoes? You run to the grocery store. So while you sitting there playing around with the mentality and talking like he's so crazy because I'm talking, and you call it conspiracy, and I call it reverse nutcase ass psychology on your part, not mine. You know what I'm saying? You have to look at the fact that if anything was to happen, most of you gonna run where to get food. You gonna run to that grocery store, and that grocery store's gonna be wiped out in an apocalyptic situation. And why we're calling it an apocalyptic situation is not because we're talking about the bullshit and the shit they do. We're using that shitty word that everybody know in one groove of the word what it means. So therefore, you know what I'm saying, a great catastrophe or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to run to that and it's going to be wiped out. COVID-19 should have shown you some of that on a light rate, because many of them didn't live too many generations to see it. But that was a light shot. You know what I'm saying? And what's the first thing people do? They all run there and wiped out all the meats off the shelf. I went in the store, all the meats was damn near gone. Toilet paper and bleach and so on and so on. But when you look at the vegetable aisle, it was well stocked. Like they didn't even touch it. Because everybody is only thinking about their base essential for themselves real quick. Oh, I got to give me some meat in case, my body, you know what I'm saying? You're greedy, yes. When you look at the agriculture of corn, carrots, peas, tomato, lettuce, all those different green alkaline shit that you only running to get the meat that can go spoil, and you're going to have to cook it sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how long you keep it. So that means people like you going to probably end up eating people anyway with your nasty cannibal ass. You know what I'm saying? Chaotic ass, really. But when you look at all the vegetables and all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying, you should have the local farmers and many other people that if anything happened per se economically where it comes down, like saw how they did the Great Depression, where people didn't have the money to buy the food, people didn't have it was a disaster that was orchestrated to go that way. And then, you know what I'm saying, many businesses probably had to shut down. Many people were on the soup line during the Great Depression about 5, 10, 20 miles long just to get maybe a cup of soup, you know what I'm saying, and a piece of bread. And we wasn't talking about black Americans. Majority of those people were white Americans going through this as well. You know what I'm saying? Because so many people don't look at that aspect. You know what I'm saying? But we have to. We have to start paying a lot more attention to our food supply in much of this. Because you have Bill Gates talking about making and these scientists is talking about making laboratory meat in a laboratory. Where did he get the even where's Poof the Magic Dragon meat? Which made out of some kind of whack ass bullshit chemical shit or whatever they call it stuff. And then even talking about 3D. You know what I'm saying? So why would you trust your food supply to Bill Gates and all these scientific motherfuckers talking that bullshit when it's just simple and plain to just simply support your local farmers and make sure that their pockets are well fucking greased for every single ounce of sweat and brow that they have fought to keep natural foods on your table. Lettuce, all that different stuff, which even packs more vitamins than probably even protein meat. You know what I'm saying? And if known how to cook it and put it together just right, and the different things to put with it to make sure that they cause an effect that would give the body some form of fattening tissue to keep the muscle mass up and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? You would know what to put in that pot. But most of the greens and the different stuff, and some people don't care about it, they're meatheads. You know what I'm saying? But even when we look at the meat, you know what I'm saying? Is you going to eat meat from a fucking laboratory scientist feeding you some old bullshitical garbage meat shit? You know what I'm saying? Is you? No, you're not. You know what I'm saying? Because if you was to truly examine what it's made from, you probably would throw up. So you're entrusting your meat supply, and Bill Gates buying up all the potatoes, because a lot of people eat potatoes and a lot of kids love fries. You know what I'm saying? And he's buying up all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? This mad scientist who just almost murdered off the whole of the United States using a biological attack, you know what I'm saying, that he called a COVID vax. You know what I'm saying? But he ain't fooling nobody with that bullshit. Only the people that are easily fooled off. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about supporting our local farmers and stuff like that, that's something that we must seriously start to take a hard, long look at. You know what I'm saying? Because one day we may have to pitch in and help there too. You know what I mean? Because the way these people are going and the things that they are doing, you know what I'm saying, goes to show how confused the minds of the people is. You even have people saying that Donald Trump is guilty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might be guilty of the 34 counts or whatever, falsifying documents and all this different shit. But there's a lot of them in the government that you have voted for and put into the White House that have done the same fucking thing. Falsified documents, in-house trading, you know what I'm saying? They're getting all the information. Oh, they're about to do a scheme where, hey there, Bill, we're setting this up in here. I mean, I'm just, your old pal, and I want to make sure that you get in on this deal because I love you and your family when they let me come over, have dinner and shit, And Bill, I'm going to be going up on the next Congress meeting coming up. I'm going to be at the head of the table there, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to, in more ways there, Bill, don't say this to anybody, but in the back room, we just did up a scheme and a scam that we know we're going to cause a belly up bust on the real estate market, and then we're going to super shoot it back in and rip it up the top. And if you're there at the right time, Billy, you know what I'm saying, you're going to put your money in there and, you know what I'm saying, put it in investments and stocks or whatever, and watch your money blow, dude. And then they go out and they orchestrate that. Where that actually happens because they orchestrated it to go that way. Same you see with the election. And all this 34 counts of this and that, as if all them motherfuckers in there is straight. And don't need to be investigated. Only Donald Trump, 4-year president, a real estate mogul before. Only Donald Trump because he said that the Central Park 5 should be, and so and so and so. What does Central Park 5 have to do with the presidency and saving the country? You could talk that bullshit all you want. But we know the schemes that you design this and all you deep state motherfuckers have pulled a bull over, and you think you have pulled a bull over our eye, but the only bull that you have pulled was over a child. You see? And then you laughing as if you just that good. No, you're not. Because if you pull a wool over your child and murder off all the old that were there to educate and make sure, and then you blackball, not you covered up, you lied, you burned books, you did all types of political shit in order to bring your narrative, and then created what you call a scriptural so-called holy book. Holy what? Holy hell, probably. You know what I'm saying? And use that along with your brutality and your killing and whatever little shitty might that you have across this planet, and cause children and people to follow that book and teach their children and their children of that book. So what ritual did you call yourself doing in order to achieve that fucking goal, you idiot?